Hey ho, welcome to the channel. My name is Becky and this is Brea Makes Art, and today we're going to be playing with watercolor and talking about art styles. So I went to Joann's and they are closing, unfortunately, but fortunately for me, I was able to find this block of Arches cold press watercolor paper there. It was the last one there and it was 25% off, so I saved a nice 15 bucks on it and went ahead and picked it up because I didn't figure I was going to be able to find any Arches paper on sale again anytime soon, and I didn't happen to have any cold press 100% cotton watercolor paper on hand anyway. I tend to be more of a hot press girly because I like the lack of texture on the hot press, and I like it better for the gouache paintings that I tend to do because I don't tend to do a lot of watercolors. I do know that a lot of people say that the cold press is much better for watercolors, and I will say that it worked very well for the watercolor here. I don't know if it would have turned out the same if I would have done this on a hot press paper. It did soak into the paper very nicely and kind of gave me some nice little bit of bleeds because I did wet this paper before I started on this nice Galaxy watercolor painting. I decided I just wanted to do something fun and easy and just something that I haven't really done before. And this sounded like fun, so I just went ahead and found a photograph of a galaxy that I liked, and I'm kind of very loosely following what I'm seeing there. Mostly I'm using it for colors more than anything. I did use it a little bit for the shape, though I did change the shape quite a bit in this painting. Right now, I'm being super loose with everything and just kind of laying in some base color just to kind of get an idea of where I want everything to be. And then I'll go back in later and put in some more details. I'm really just kind of following intuition here. And that actually leads me into the thing that I wanted to talk about here, which was your art style. I had someone comment recently on one of my videos that they liked my style, and it really got me thinking about what it means to have an art style, or what your art style actually is. When I first started watching a lot of art YouTube, I saw lots of things about how to find your style, what is your art style, etc., etc. And when I first saw that, my thought was that I don't have a style yet, that someone doesn't have a style when they first start off. I don't believe that to be true. I think that anyone who has ever created any art has a style. It may not be the style that you want to have, but you have a style. A style to me is just simply the way that you tend to create art, what types of shapes you make, what kinds of colors you like to use, etc. Does that mean that you shouldn't bother finding your style? No, I don't think so. But I think finding your style is the wrong words. I think it's more curating your style. I think that a lot of people are talking more about trying to figure out how you actually want to represent things. And that means partially, it means what colors do you like to use? It kind of means what types of things do you like to represent in your art? How do you like to draw things? Do you like sharp angles? Do you like more rounded things? Do you like simplified? Are you hyper realist? All of those things kind of lead into what your style is. And I think some of the best ways to figure out what your style is to play. And that's what I'm doing here. I am just playing with my watercolor with a new supply that I got because it sounded like fun, and I just wanted to do something that was relaxing and would give me something that hopefully I would like. Playing really kind of allows you to explore different things. So right now I am exploring some different techniques with watercolors that I don't usually use. I am exploring some new subject matter that I don't typically represent in my art, just to see if it's something that I would like to do more of, if this becomes part of my style. I mean, another part of playing is to look at other people's art and see what sorts of things they do that really kind of speaks to you at a deeper level. Do you like the colors that they use? Do you like the contrast that they use? Do you like the medium that they use? Are there certain shapes that they like to make? Like, do you like sharper, harder shapes or softer, smoother shapes? Do you like hyperrealism or do you like something that's more abstract? All of those feed into your style, and all of those are perfect subjects for play. So if you see someone that draws eyes in a way that you really like, try and draw eyes the way they do and incorporate it into something that you are making, whether it's in your sketchbook or a more finished piece. See if it works with the other ways that you tend to draw. If it does, and it really kind of makes your piece better in your eyes, make that part of your style. That's part of stealing like an artist. Now, I will put in the disclaimer that you'll hear in pretty much any other video that talks about stealing like an artist. Stealing like an artist does not mean taking whole hog something that somebody else has done and recreating it and passing it off as your own. Stealing like an artist means looking at certain things that another artist has done and maybe picking a little piece out, maybe picking a color palette out, or picking out the way that they draw something or the way that they paint something and trying that out. That's what stealing like an artist is. It's basically you're curating different things that you have seen or you have tried and using that as part of your art. I have been working kind of hard on figuring out curating my style in terms of the way that I draw. I spend a lot of time looking at other people's art either on Instagram or on YouTube or on Pinterest or in books, etc., to figure out what do I like about how different people are representing things and trying to do those things in my sketchbook. So sometimes you'll just see like a little drawing of an eyeball or a little curve or something like that, just some little piece of something that somebody else has done, because I want to see, like, do I like the way that they did it in terms of like incorporated into my style, or do I need to change it in a way that kind of is easier for me to draw or just kind of speaks to me more? And honestly, that brings me to another topic that it took me a while to really kind of understand what people were meaning by it. And that is that your artwork has a piece of you in it. And that kind of made sense to me, but it makes a lot more sense to me now. It has a piece of me in it because it is representing things the way that I see them, or it is touching part of my soul and putting it onto the paper. And so when another person looks at it and it touches their soul, it's kind of speaking to that person through form, through like just something that they find beautiful or somehow meaningful. I don't necessarily put a lot of meaning or story or anything like that behind my pieces, but I do think that there is something in me that ends up in the piece, whether intentional or not. It is a way that I represent things that can speak to somebody else in a way that is very difficult to really put into words. It just kind of makes you feel good or makes you happy or just looks beautiful to your eyes. And I think that anybody at any skill level can speak to somebody else through their artwork. And you will never know who you have touched in that way. And that's kind of crazy and kind of beautiful all at the same time. To kind of put a story around this. I had this happen a couple of years ago. I had a friend that I had in high school find me on Facebook. Apparently, he'd been looking for me for a while and couldn't find me because I changed my name when I got married, and he didn't know my married name. But in high school, we were in art class together, and I had made a lino print of just some, random design that I made for some project in art, and I had given him a copy of one of the prints. And apparently he kept that print for all of these years because he really liked it and it meant a lot to him. And I never knew that it actually meant very much to him. I just gave him one of the prints that I made because he wanted it. And he actually was planning on designing a bedroom after that print. He was using that kind of as like the focal piece, or the thing that he was using to design his entire room after. And he told me this, and it just kind of was really amazing to me that this basically throwaway piece of art that I had made in high school somehow touched him so much that he held on to it for almost 30 years and was planning on using it in his house and basically designing a room kind of around that print. That was absolutely amazing to me and just really showed me the way that art can touch someone without you even knowing. And it really is incredible to me the power that art can have, and we don't even realize it. So I'm saying to you, make your art, explore, try different things. You never know what's going to work. You never know what's going to speak to you. You never know what's going to speak to somebody else. Something that you make that you find just kind of a throwaway piece, or you actually don't like that much, may speak to somebody else and they may actually love it. It may kind of expose some part of yourself in there that you don't realize. But it could touch somebody else's soul in a way that you just don't realize. And I also highly recommend that you consume lots of art, because you never know what art may touch you and your soul in some way that you don't realize. So please continue to play, continue to make art, even if you don't think you're very good at it. Just keep going. You never know what kind of impact your art may have on somebody else, and continue to evolve your style. Your style is never going to be complete. You're never going to finally get it exactly the way you want it. There's always going to be something else that you find that you want to include in your art, some different way that you want to represent things. And partially that's because we continue to grow as we get older. And partially that's because we continue to see new things and new ways of representing things that we hadn't thought of or hadn't seen before, or we're going to try different things that we hadn't thought of or seen before. And it's going to continue to evolve. So you're never going to truly be there. You're never going to find your art style and just like lock in. And one other quick point is that your art style, you may have more than one. You may have one art style for drawing. You may have one art style for painting. You may have another art style in even drawing. Like maybe when you draw trees, you draw in this style. And when you draw people, you draw in that style. And that is totally cool. And that is totally fine. And it's totally normal. Just keep making art. Keep sharing it with the people that you love and that are supportive of you, and just kind of pay attention to those people that are just saying, oh, it's great, and not really meaning it, or that really critique you really hard, and share it with the people that are going to really appreciate your art and are supportive of you. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say today. Hopefully you've enjoyed me rambling, and we should be able to cut to some final scenes here, and I'll let you get going. Alrighty, are we ready for the tape peel? Here we go. We're going to start up at the top. Can you guys see that? Let me move that down so you can see it. Ooh, it's a good tape peel. That tape was barely on there at all, but it is peeling off quite nicely. Yeah, you can see this over here. It's just falling off from the paper. For the most part, it's been a very clean tape peel, which makes me very happy. And then we'll get this last side here. Boop. Ah, boo. Okie dokie. Well, for the first time ever doing a galaxy painting, I think it turned out really good. I am really happy with how this looks. I did mostly watercolor with a little bit of gouache in order to just kind of give some of that lightness and life back to it, and obviously the stars. Overall, I am really happy with this. I think it looks pretty cool. I guess it's time to remove it from the pad here. I do want to find my palette knife before I do that instead of using, well, I guess I can use an X-Acto knife. So, got an X-Acto knife here, and if you've never used a block like this, you need a palette knife or an X-Acto knife, and you just kind of slide it in and just start to peel it off there. There we go. There is my galaxy painting. Anyway, I hope you guys had a great time, and I will see you again next week. By the way, don't forget, like and subscribe. Bye.